I mean, guys slipping and sliding everywhere. But honestly, with it doesn't really matter to me what bowl game we go to. It's a chance to play on a national stage because ESPN has basically almost every single bowl game except for a couple that I think two are on Fox, and I think CBS still has the Sun Bowl or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's still a national stage that, hey, you can, especially now, with I know we don't want to talk expansion, but with this expansion stuff now, TV is basically your biggest recruiter now besides the coaches. How often are you on TV? Can my parents watch? Can my parents come to a game? It's all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, bowl game, I'm happy we go to one. I just hope my hope is 9-3 this year. 9-3, 8-4. Hopefully not going to the Pinstripe Bowl, but a bowl game is great for the fans. It's great for the players. It's great for recruiting.
Well, this will be the last year of the Music City Bowl at the current Nashville Stadium. They'll be demolishing that after the season. So whoever goes to that bowl game, it'll be the last one. They'll be rebuilding Nashville for the new Titan Stadium in a couple of years. So hopefully we won't be in that one, but hopefully a top New Year's Eve, New Year's Day would be the best. What if the Gophers get into the College Bowl playoffs?
Is that 12? Is that at 12 this year, or is that next year?
No, it's at I think just the 4. I think this year again, right?
Okay. Well, then you've definitely beaten Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah, if they get that 4, yes.
And then you beat them again in the Big Ten title game, which that would be pretty good. I mean, I'd be buying my tickets to wherever we're playing. So,
how about you, Craig? Is any chance playing in the Final Four there?
Hell no. What are you guys thinking?
No, it's a dream, but I mean, can it happen? Yes, but it's a dream.
We're going to be playing TCU in the Cotton Bowl. That's what's going to happen.
Oh, that's fine.
Not bad, not bad. TCU, the Horned Frogs, Craig.
Colorado's winning it all. And then
Colorado. And so let's finish up on that little topic. Deion Sanders, Andy, you've been following him for the Colorado Buffaloes. How
Coach
big
Prime,
that first year, do you think?
I think Coach Prime's going to do well. He's on national TV almost every week this week. They're going to do good. Everybody wants to go transfer and play there for him. And they're going to find out after a couple of years that he's a smart guy. He knows football. But you can be a great low-tier football coach. You go to that next year, and you can't tread water to save your life. I think, and that's what's going to happen to him. He's up with the big dogs now. He's going to go 500.
I wish we were playing them this year instead of last year. This would have been a more hype game. Like when I went out to Colorado in 21. I mean, they had 0 fans. When you got Gopher fans outnumbering a home team, we usually don't travel very well. I mean, normally, but yeah, it's a beautiful campus out there. I'll give them that. That stadium is awesome to be at. It's a great atmosphere. You want to talk about who's the transfer portal king. I mean, it's definitely Coach Prime.
Yeah.
So do you think that we talked earlier as far as a new coach coming into a new system that first year sometimes struggling? Do you think that would be the case with Prime this year and then being phenomenal next year? Or could he come in and, go 11-2 this year already right off the bat?
Well, I mean, how many guys did he get from Jackson State to come up to Colorado? I mean, quite a few. I mean, that'll help with, the culture change and stuff like that. But, it's another hype train again. Are they actually going to be able to, win their schedule? It's going to be interesting. I mean, in my opinion.
Well, they're going to sell jerseys and put butts in the fans in the seats is what they're going to do for sure, which is half of the deal.
He's got a 5-year contract there, so we'll see how that goes too if he fulfills that.
All right, anything else on Big Ten, fellas, on the West? Anything we missed?
Nope.
Nope,
I think
good to go.
we covered it pretty good. I'm excited
Not
for the
too
upcoming
much,
season.
no.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks again for coming on. Craig from Philly, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Andy, any last anything else to wrap up the episode?
No. This is gonna be fun. College football is starting right now. I like college better than pro anyway.
Yeah, it's a fun deal.
100%.
It's more fun to watch. Even if you find a game on the USA Network and it's Middle Tennessee State against Northern New Mexico, it's fun to
And
watch.
Andy, we
you know?
cover a lot of FCS stuff, and that is tremendous as well. It doesn't get a lot of love. Maybe Craig doesn't like it that much, but the FCS, good quality football there.
No,
Oh, speaking of, real quick, Cody Mouch from the Bison, starting right guard. It was starting for Tampa Bay on their offensive line. Just some kid from a small school.
so that ain't gonna matter. But
You got no teeth and long hair. You gotta love him.
I don't know about St. Thomas visual now. When does that kick in?
St. Thomas for D1 or D2?
They're going to.
Well, they've been doing it for hockey for a couple years already.
They've been D1 a couple of years.
Football program is D1.
Yep. They're technically in a probation period because the NCAA is stupid.
Okay.
Because they won their they actually won their conference last year, but they weren't able to go to anything because they're on this probationary stupid period.
Do they have to build a bigger stadium, football stadium?
Yeah, they did have to do something with that.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why the Bison haven't gone D1 yet. 'Cause the NCAA wants them to have a bigger stadium.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Good luck in the season. Should be good Gopher football season this year. Should be exciting. All right. Have a good week. Have a good week, everyone. Thank you. See ya.
See you guys.
Sports and Songs podcast. We're on season 4, episode number 40. Today's the sports edition, sports only. We're gonna have a focus show, Andy. A focus on the Big Ten, a Big Ten preview show, basically focusing on the West Division. There's 2 divisions, East and West. Used to be legends and leaders, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of lame. Now it's West and East.
Yeah,
There's so many. A lot of teams coming in 2024. But for 2023, we're going to focus on this. We got special guests today. We got Jeremy Rock Quaas joining us. Good morning, Jeremy. We got Craig.
How's it going, guys?
Good. And we got Craig from Philly.
Good.
We got Craig from Philly. He's been on the show a few times talking some football. He's talked wrestling in the past. We got these guys on today to talk. We'll go through each team in the West Division and the Gopher schedule, see how it looks. And here, let's bring it up. Here's the standings from last year, fellas. There we go.
Nothing to really brag about.
All right, here we go. Here's the standings from last year. And so maybe we go top to bottom and talk about the teams, and then we'll get into Minnesota. Maybe we do Minnesota last, but I'd like to get your thoughts on each of these teams and how they look for 2023 and whatnot. Start off with Purdue. What do you guys think about the Boilermakers this year? Went 6-3 last year, 8-6 overall. Jeremy, what's your thoughts on the Boilermakers for this season?
They're definitely going to be down this year. Obviously, Braum left to go to Louisville, I think, again. They just brought in a guy from Illinois, if I remember right, the defensive coordinator. They had a bunch of transfers. I don't see them being the top dog in the West Division. So it shall be interesting to see what happens with them. Like I said, I don't see them being – they'll probably be below Nebraska this year.
As we go through these, let's keep in mind, too, that the transfer portal is such a huge thing with guys coming, leaving, and so keep that in mind when you do your review also. Craig, what do you think for Purdue this season?
Not sure. I think to be better than people are predicting, but yeah, they lost O'Connell, the quarterback. It's a big shoe to fill, so I don't see much there. I don't think they're going to be a threat for the West.
And if you look at that home record, Andy, that you sent me this image here, the home record, not a single team had a winning record at home in the conference. Every team was 500 or less at home. A lot of parity.
But you look at their schedule for next year. They're at Michigan, at Iowa, home against Ohio State. So they didn't play those teams last year. So
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes this year.
That's always the pick. You got every team here in the West plays each other, and then 3 teams from the East, and it depends on who they play. They rotate those through, and strength of schedule really comes in. How about Illinois, fellas? The in Champaign-Urbana there.
Yes.
I mean, it kind of depends on. I think that defense took a hit from the draft. I mean, they had a couple guys get drafted pretty high. You can't doubt a Bielema offense. He likes to ground and pound. I mean, if you remember him from Wisconsin, that's how they ran offense. That's how they ran over the Gophers for so many years. I'd say they're probably going to be right about where they are, or I think they'll be competing for the West. There's 4 teams in my mind that are going to compete for the West title, and they're definitely one of them.
How about you, Craig? What do you think about the Illinois?
I agree with Jeremy. I think Illinois, if they can win at home, they're going to be right there last week or 2 of the season for the Big West.
And last year they went 5-1 against these divisional foes. 5-1 record, very impressive. But then again, all the talent is really in the East. That's still impressive record nonetheless.
What's Illinois' schedule like?
They got Penn State week 2, September 16th. Penn State at home. They have Wisconsin at home, and they're here on campus at Minnesota, and they're at Iowa, November 18th. So
they could probably
Wisconsin at home. So they got a pretty favorable schedule. Penn State being at home early could pull that off. So they got a pretty favorable schedule, I think.
Exactly.
Let's move on to Iowa. Jeremy, what do you think about the Hawkeyes?
Okay.
Remember,
I'm not the biggest.
Keep it clean.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'm not the biggest Iowa guy, but here's the thing: they are, to me, they're top dog until someone knocks them off. I mean, I've been saying that for a while. They lost a lot off of their defense too, which was that's basically what kept them in games because. Baby boy down there, offensive coordinator, he couldn't get anything going offensively. Now, this year, they got that Cade McNamara from Michigan. I don't really think that helps them, but they're another one of those teams that I think is definitely going to be competing for the West title, along with Illinois.
How about you, Craig?
Well, Iowa's what's their bread and butter? You play stingy defense and just kind of grind out the game. I think McNamara, I disagree with Andy. I think he's going to be better than advertised. I think he's going to really help Iowa.
But Iowa's got a pretty nice schedule too for next year.
For this year, game.
Their only tough game is week 3 at Penn State. Then after that, they have a road game at Wisconsin in October. They have a game at Wrigley Field. Northwestern's going to be the home team for that. But after Wisconsin, they're home, Wrigley Field, home, and then, big scare at Nebraska. So they got it pretty cake. After they get past Penn State, they're looking pretty good.
Interesting.
Wow. And Iowa's the favorite, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I 100% agree with that. So
you got to say Iowa's, got to be the favorite.
They're preseason number 25 in the big polls, but they're going to finish top 10 for sure at the end of it.
Let's skip Minnesota, move on to Wisconsin. What do you think about the Badgers, Jeremy, this season there in Madison?
The most hyped team I've ever seen in a preseason, which is ridiculous. The funny thing is that they're ranked, I think, in the preseason polls in the top 25, I think 23 or something. Mm-hmm. And the Gophers are at 40, and we beat them 2 years in a row. We've had a better record than them 2 years in a row. I just, I get they got the new coach with Luke Fickell coming in, and, he's that sexy pick from, Cincinnati or whatever, but it's different playing, whatever Cincinnati, well, I don't even know what they play in the AAC or something like that. I mean, it's a little different coming to Big Ten country. And I know he used to coach in Big Ten, he used to be a big guy under Tressel at Ohio State or no, he was under Urban Meyer. I mean, I get he knows how to coach in the Big Ten, but he also, most of these players are probably not what fits his system, which is he likes to spread them out and gun it. So, like I said, it's another one of those teams that I think is, competing for the Big Ten West, along with Iowa and Illinois, and it's, we'll go from there. But it's the most hype train I've ever seen for a Wisconsin team that, didn't finish well at all last year, lost to us. I know that's devastating for them, especially, it's happened twice now at Camp Randall where we've taken the axe out of there. So I'm sure they're not too happy, but like I said, it's another team that's going to compete for the West.
Before we go on to Craig, here's a question. How long does it take with the new coach? Doesn't it take typically a year to kind of get their footing, and they might be good in 2024, but this is all new scheme, playbook, everything. Doesn't that take a hit sometime in your very first year?
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe so, but the thing is, like we've been talking with this transfer portal. I mean, I'm sure they probably brought in some guys and stuff like that, but it still takes a year or two to learn the system. I mean, when we brought PJ in, we were 3-9, I think, that first year, and then we took a jump that second year, and then we kept jumping, and we've kind of stalled out here the past couple of years, going 8-4 and whatever. But new coaches, man, you got different ways to practice. You got different ways that you go about meetings, and it's all different. You got to learn it. But that's where they bring these coaches in January, and you got from January until the end of July, August to figure it out. So
Craig, what's your thoughts on the Badgers and Bucky Badger this season?
Well, I like this quarterback. That's their ace in the hole when that transfer portal with the quarterback from SMU. I can't pronounce his last name very well. It's Mordecai or something like that. But I saw a few SMU games in the last few years, and he can sling it. So he's a difference maker. If it wasn't for him, I would say the Badgers would be lower tier this year. But he's a stud. So we'll see what they do there in Wisconsin. That worries me.
They'll be competitive because schedule-wise, they have that 12th man. They're at home for Iowa, at home for Ohio State. So those games should be close anyway. They'll be an exciting team to watch. I wouldn't bet a lot on them, but I'd watch their games just for pure excitement, I think, this year.
Well, let's move on to Nebraska. Now, Jeremy, Scott Frost is gone. What are your thoughts on the Huskers?
It's the same thing with Wisconsin, though, too, is, Rule, I think Rule is going to do well down there. He's definitely a personality that I think fits Nebraska football. He's kind of a little arrogant, but kind of humble in the same sense. It'll be interesting how, just like I said, just like Wisconsin, new system, new way to do stuff. How's that going to work? I mean, they've lost a couple guys since he got there that are pretty. I think one of the cornerbacks is, a projected pretty high pick in the NFL, and he left. And, it's just going to be interesting to see how they respond to the last 4 or 5 years of Scott Frost's inability to do anything. And I think Rule's a guy for that program right now.
How about you, Craig? Huskers. What are your thoughts on the Cornhuskers?
Thompson transferred. They got Jeff Sims from Georgia Tech. He has 23 career starts. He's projected to be the starting quarterback. But after that, I think they're maybe a bowl team. Other than that, I don't see them making a run this year. Kind of same bowl as Wisconsin. New coach. You don't know where it's going to go. I think it's learning curve right now.
A lot of unknowns. How about the schedule, Andy?
If if they make a bowl, it's going to be an early December bowl because look at their schedule. They got to go after us. They go out and play Coach Prime out in Colorado. They got to play Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Iowa. But I don't see more than 3 wins. So I don't see how they're going to get a bowl game. But I just have no faith in Nebraska. So I'm trying not to be biased, but they still suck.
You know what? I actually agree with Andy. I reverse. They're not going to make a bowl. Colorado's going to win the national championship. So
wow, and that's
heard it here first.
That could be. Never know, boys.
Coach,
Jeez, bold prediction
Mark
there.
this episode down, kids.
Mark it down, Craig. This is good.
So it is said, so it shall happen.
All right, no, we got last but least, but Northwestern. What are your thoughts after coming off a tough season last year, Jeremy? What are your thoughts about the Wildcats?
It's going to be an interesting year. Obviously, if people know they've had that scandal going on, they let go of the coach. That's Pat Fitzgerald, who's been there forever. They actually got Andy as an NDSU D coordinator.
D coordinator went down there as a job as D coordinator. He got promoted to head coach. So,
yeah, and then they brought in Skip Holtz to kind of help out, and it's not going to affect his job with the USFL or whatever. But then I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now, they were wearing cats against the world, or whatever kind of shirts that the coaches were wearing that were very deaf to what was going on, and they had Pat Fitzgerald's number. The school president or athletic director called him basically, "This is the stupidest thing you ever did." I won in 1-11. I maybe 2 wins, maybe same. I don't see them climbing out of the cellar.
How about you, Craig?
Well, they got transfer quarterback in from Cincinnati, but I'd be surprised if they win a Big Ten game.
Yeah, last year, they won that game, and then they went and lost everything after that.
But that game was in Ireland, though. That game they won was in Ireland against
which is where Scott Frost
he should have had a one-way ticket there, but
wow.
So I think. But look at their schedule. They start out at Rutgers. They might win a couple non-conference games, but they'll finish ahead of Nebraska. That's going to be their claim to fame. So, the new coaching staff, like I said, I'm kind of a homer with the coaching staff, Skip Holtz, all that. But next year, kind of like with Wisconsin, let the transfer portal take place. Not saying they'll be a powerhouse in a couple of years, but they'll be a little more fun to watch in a couple of years.
Yeah, makes sense.
Go through the growing pains this year and suck it up and see what next year does.
All right. This should be interesting, fellas. Here's the Golden Gopher schedule. If you can see it there on the screen, we're going to go through each one of these games, and I'd like to get your opinions on each one of these. It's a 12-game season, 7 home games for the Gophers, 5 on the road, 9 conference games, 6 of those coming within the division, and 3 of those coming within the East. Now, the East, we've got Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State. How's that going to be? Before we go down each one of these, what are your thoughts on the roll of the dice here for the East to get those 3 teams? Wow.
Yeah, it's not an easy schedule by any means, and especially you're going on the road at Purdue, which is a tough place to play. And then you go to Ohio State, which, is notorious. It's got 100,000 people. I've never been there, but, you talk to people, it's ear deafening there. It's loud. It's hard to play at. Bringing in that khaki guy from Michigan, we'll see what they're going to be like, too. They lost some guys, too, but they still got that 2-headed monster at running back. It's going to be an interesting year for the Gophers. I'm definitely higher on them. I think, with PJ, and I think Callie McManus is going to be I think he's underrated, in my opinion. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting year for the Gophers.
9-4 last year, and we all thought that with the Gophers had I wouldn't call it a cupcake schedule, but they had about arguably the easiest schedule for the Big Ten that one could have, and they had a veteran quarterback, veteran running back that's 6 years in the program. We thought maybe they'd go 11-2 last season. That didn't happen. Well, now they got to face the music because this is tougher yet. Really going to be with the big boys. What are your thoughts, Craig, on the Gophers' schedule overall?
Oh, if they can go 1-2 out of the gate with, the big three, Ohio State and the East Conference, they go 1-2 and then kind of lose maybe one game the rest of the way, then they have a shot at the West. And I think they can do it. That's the thing. I'm high on the Gophers. I really am. I think they can. They got great running game. This is where PJ Fleck. This is where he earns his money right here this year. Last year they won the West. I was very disappointed, but this is what year is this for PJ Fleck? Is this his 8th year?
7 or 8.
7 or 8, something like that.
Yeah, I love PJ, but
it's hard to know It's hard to know because he started at year 0, not year 1. So it's hard to know what exactly year.
Yes,
that new math.
New math is year 0.
Look at their schedule. I like the fact there's a preseason game or non-conference game on the road. That's nice. You have North Carolina, but you're on the road.
I'm 6 hours away from there. I should go to that game.
You should. You can report.
You should. I'll be there.
Bring the grill, tailgate. Yeah.
You look at the first 4 games, should be 4-0, kind of like last year. Then you hit, Michigan here. That's a good thing, and that's going to be Harbaugh's second game back? We said. Yeah, had a slap on the wrist.
Suspension. Yeah.
So he'll be back at Iowa. At Ohio State, those are going to be 2 tough road games. I never thought I'd say this, but I only see 3 losses here for the whole season.
Well, they have to beat Iowa and Wisconsin if they want to win the West.
Yeah, you gotta take those 2 games.
And maybe you can lose to Illinois or Purdue or whatever, but you got to beat Iowa and Wisconsin in order to win the West.
That's what I'm saying. 3 losses. Unfortunately, they're going to lose to Michigan, I think. Ohio State they'll probably lose to, and then there'll be one other step on your stuff loss in there that they shouldn't have lost. So that's why I say 3.
Yeah, the nice thing of the three games against the East, 2 of those are at home. Michigan is at Huntington Bank Stadium, and Michigan State both home. Now that Ohio State on the road is going to be a nasty game, but that's the bright side. Do they stand a chance against Michigan at home on October 7th?
No.
Wow.
I believe so.
Let's get into the non-conference. How do you like the schedule this year? How what the teams they selected for the 2023 non-conference schedule? Thoughts there, Jeremy?
Eastern Michigan, they should win that one pretty handily, but then I thought a couple years ago when we lost to Bowling Green, I thought that was going to be a kind of a walkthrough too, but you never know with these teams. They got nothing to lose and they're getting paid to play here. That's great. Like I said, I'm going to North Carolina game. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing what this potential top quarterback pick, and Drake May, I think is his name. See what he looks like. We're taking, I think we got 16 in our group going down. Should be fun.
Chapel Hill.
Like I said, looking forward to it. And this Louisiana team, I can't remember what their record was last year, but they were pretty good. And it's another team that getting paid to come up here and play, and that's homecoming too. That's our homecoming game this year. It's tough, but I think, Gophers can definitely go 3-0, but if they don't come to play, they can go 0-3 too. So, you never know which Gopher team you're going to get that week for those non-conference games.
I don't this is just an opinion, but I don't like homecoming games that are non-conference. Why do they have to do that?
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Craig, you don't like that either? You know,
No.
Louisiana Lafayette for homecoming? Come on now. All right, what's your thoughts on
Well, 'cause they didn't want it-
non-conference schedule, Craig? What do you think? Are these cupcakes? Are they tough teams?
Well,
overall?
I'm sorry to say, boys, they're not going to beat North Carolina, so that's a loss. But they should be all right. The other ones. I pray that they beat North Carolina because that'd be a feather in the cap. But
Is that a nationally televised game? Do you guys know? The 2:30
Yeah,
start?
it should
Okay.
be. I think it's an
my
ESPN
God, that
game
should be fun.
or
Okay.
ABC game. One of
That'll
the
be
two.
fun. Chapel Hill, North Carolina for that game. And then it's nice to have Northwestern early in the season to get that win out of the way. Sorry, Craig. What about the rest of the non-conference schedule?
It shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Except North Carolina, you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
Jeremy, when you staying in North Carolina for the game? Yeah.
When we're flying in. We're flying in Friday. We get there. I think we touch down in Raleigh at about 11:30 in the morning.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, because then North Carolina, they got like a all-inclusive tailgate that's basically right next to the stadium, and that's where we're going to tailgate instead of having to rent a vehicle and buying all the stuff. And we'll probably run them out of beer like we did in Iowa a few years ago. So
I'll bring down a case.
Now, I was just going to say something. Oh, Craig, now you go on a road trip every year, right, for the Gophers? Where are you planning this year?
I was North Carolina because that's the closest one. They don't come out close at all.
You are doing that for sure?
I don't know yet. I should.
Awesome.
I should have already been on it, but
Yeah, he did Penn State last year. That was pretty good. We had a special bonus episode talking about that. That was pretty good tailgating there for the Nittany Lions.
I think Maryland's only like an hour and a half for me. 2 hours. University of Maryland. So I think I'm going to take in a Maryland game this year. I'm going to try to stay away from Rutgers, though. But other than that, yeah.
Why Maryland?
It's
The Terps.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half drive for me to Maryland.
You like the wild jerseys every week.
Yeah,
right?
what helmet will be this week? I don't know.
Andy, we're old school. We just like the old
I know.
home versus away jerseys. Not.
And I'm sorry, I cannot stand the Gopher helmet with the goalie gopher on it. That just looks so stupid.
Oh, that's the best one.
Oh my God! And the gold like that just looks so bad.
Well,
How much fear does that put in your heart?
There it is. Jeremy's. Wait, we got to show it. Jeremy.
Jeremy's wearing it. Yes, that was horrible.
Oh, that's the best.
hold on, is it that one or is it this one, or is it the chrome one?
Goldie Gopher, I love them, but not on a
I
football
love these.
helmet for crying out loud.
No, that's awesome.
Well, they have the white, the black, the gold, the shimmery. They've got all the different colors.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
kinda
got a
like
whole collection.
Uniforms of the future that baseball does, or something that Town Ball rips on for these alternate baseball uniforms. It's horrible.
The City Connect.
City Connect. I can't remember the name of it.
And I think there's big money in that too. Do you guys know why college jerseys have so many different variations? Is there big money in that as well?
Because you got to buy each one.
Oh, it forces the fans to buy the different versions. Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like the pros, but boy, that's a lot.
Like every 2 years they come out with New Jersey,
Yeah.
No,
how many NFL teams changed jerseys this year?
No, I'm sure there'll be a couple. Every year there seems to be a couple different variations. Now, for the Gophers schedule, why is it, and I don't know this, and maybe you guys know, why they typically start off with non-conference. Here they got a conference game in Nebraska right away at home on Fox, 7 p.m., and that's why, right? Is that why they got that national kickoff at the college football kickoff game is what it's called? Is that why they moved that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all TV.
And it was us
related.
last year, too, which kind of blows me away why the Gophers are their first game of the year.
The reason why Gophers do a Thursday game is they don't want to compete with the state fair.
And also, it's the one day we get decent weather for outdoors, so have it early and get it done with.
And another thing, too, is parking. The state fair uses a lot of the Gopher parking, and there's only one day that they don't allow them to use it, and it's Thursday for the, obviously for the Gopher game. But yeah, they they try not to compete. They've been doing this for I don't know how many years now.
And so they don't start on
They
the
play
road
this Thursday game.
ever. They always play at home, and they got to fight that state fair schedule.
And I think it's been. I can only remember one road game that they started on a Thursday. That was a long time ago. But yeah, it's just something with the state fair. They don't really want to compete with it, with all the traffic, all the everything else. So they just do it on Thursday, and then people can just enjoy their weekend.
Interesting. So they got the Nebraska game, then they got the two non-conference, and then Northwestern, and then another non-conference. So do you think they'll be 4-1 going into that Michigan game?
5-0.
Well, that's assuming they beat North Carolina, which
that's
Greg has said it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
You never know.
That's the only game that scares me is the North Carolina one. Just you're traveling to. I mean, at least we're playing somebody that's in a big conference for now. I guess. I mean, who knows what happens with the ACC? But I mean, they played really well last year. I mean, I think it came. Did they make the title game last year? The ACC title game?
I think so.
I can't remember.
They had a good ball game. I know that.
Yeah, because I know it came down to the last game, and I think they won. And then that, I mean, they're a good team. Like, there's no doubt. They pretty much brought almost everybody back. They got that great quarterback. I can see 4-1. 4-1, I would be happy with going into the Michigan game. 5-0 would be great, but.
What if they're 3-2? How's that for a question?
Then Jeremy's on suicide watch.
And how about Craig? What if they're 3-2?
Not yet.
Okay, I'll say this right now. If they go 5-0, they're playing New Year's Eve or New Year's Day.
Okay, fair enough. Because the schedule for the newer listeners out there, it's heavily weighted at the back end. The tough teams are on the back end, so they need to get their wins early and get them often, right?
Get momentum and stay healthy.
Yeah, that's going to be the other question too. I mean, the thing is, you got a tight end, in Brevin Spanford. He's on one of those watch lists for whatever trophy. You got two receivers that are on there that are both transfers in. I think the offense is going to be fine. With Callie McManus, he made his first start in a whiteout at Penn State, which. Hard to do. But then he came back. He beat Wisconsin in Wisconsin. He had that dime throw for that touchdown, which was just amazing. I think the offense is going to be fine. It's going to be the defense where we lost a few pieces again. But, we still got a couple veterans in that back court there that are going to help solidify that defense. I think we're probably the most complete team we've had. Since probably 2019.
You got Amon Bell back. You got those, like Jeremy says, the two receivers coming in. So yeah, I'm gonna go on a little rant here. PJ Fleck, he gets hired to do motivational speeches for companies. So the transfer portal should be a godsend for him.
Yep.
And guess what? I don't see him making any noise in the transfer portal. So he's kind of disappointing me there. I think that should be his bread and butter. He should be getting those kids from all over the place, and I don't see it. And I'm disappointed. If we ever want to win a Big Ten championship, he's got to use his charisma and stuff to get kids to fill holes,
Yeah,
but he doesn't want another story wrote about him if these transfers don't work.
No more bad press. I see 2 losses going those last 3 games.
Yeah, now, even though Wisconsin's at home and we beat them twice in a row, is it conceivable that we beat them 3 times in a row, or is that a loss either way?
Depends what the game means.
Wow.
If we're out of the Big Ten title and we're just playing for a bowl game, we could very well lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, I see us winning again. So like I said, I don't see anything special about him. I mean, that quarterback, he's, he comes in with a lot of hype too, but it's, they got, the thing is they lost everything, I can't believe that Graham Mertz is actually going to start at Florida. That's sad.
That is sad.
How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, he's the projected starter for the Gators. That guy's going to be selling his house pretty quick.
Well, here's the thing: if you look around the Big Ten, the East and West, there's probably 30-40% of the quarterbacks have never made a start.
True.
Yeah, it's projected starter. A whole bunch that have even never made a collegiate start. So you can look at that as going, you can flip a coin, you know. All these,
Mhm.
you know, Illinois and you know, Penn State new quarterback, you know. So, you know,
New quarterbacks, new coaches. It's going to be a fun year.
Yep. And one thing you guys keep making bold predictions here with the Colorado being the national champions. We're beating either Michigan or Ohio State. We're beating one of them. That's kind of how I've felt the entire time when I've watched this, seen this schedule. You know, the last time we played Ohio State, we've played them tough. Yep. You know, and that's when they had really good quarterbacks and really good defense and everything. And that's, you know, like I said, one of them I believe we're going to win. So that, you know, that might offset if we don't beat North Carolina. That might offset that.
So because Michigan is the first of the two of the big games there, if the Gophers come in 5-0 and end up beating Michigan to go 6-0, that's going to make a lot of noise nationally.
To be tough.
Yeah, but then it sucks though, because then we got that bye week, which is probably the worst time to have a bye week.
You want that momentum going into Iowa.
The momentum is huge.
Yeah, and we never play well out of a bye, so I don't know.
Boy, that'll be fun. Anyone going to that game? Michigan.
And football.
Yeah, season tickets.
Seedings and rankings for college football.
Yes, Jeremy, you'll be there for sure.
That'll
be
absolutely.
Football's like a what have you done for me lately in the rankings too. So if they can win those last three for sure, that'd help a lot.
So for the newer listeners out there that may not be aware, a lot of these games are to be determined. You know, they'll set the time later on, but it's usually. Is it 2 weeks before is when they start locking in the dates, the times, or is it 1 week before? Depending on TV, once again, is that why?
Depending those last, I think 2 games are basically that Sunday before the game.
Flex schedule
is normally what it is, and then the Michigan game, I bet you'll be decided about that Northwestern week.
Okay,
and then probably that Iowa game, you know, probably about that same time with the Michigan game. So. Otherwise it's usually that Sunday or Monday, you know, 10, 12 days before the game.
That's
normally.
Good to know.
And with the bye weeks and stuff, I very well could see those games. Well, we got the Big Ten Network. They don't have a national TV deal anymore for Big Ten, so it's ABC bit, but check your cable channel, make sure you got the Big Ten Network.
Well, and the other thing is, you know, they ain't going to be on ABC or ESPN, so it's either Big Ten, NBC,
Fox will pick them up too.
Fox, and then CBS is having like a game or two this year because they still have the SEC, and then next year they'll be fully Big Ten.
So, what are you guys thinking for bowl games eligibility? Number one, eligible for sure.
Yes,
I think we're all consensus on that. Number 2 is what type of what tier are your thoughts, Jeremy, as far as what tier on the Gophers for this year? A top tier, New Year's Eve, like Andy said, New Year's Day game?
You know, that's all going to depend. You know, like I said, if you want that New Year's 6 bowl game, you got to beat North Carolina and you got to beat Michigan or Ohio State. You know, that's going to be the big, you know, it's depending on record, you know, that's, you know, it is what it is with, you know, Big Ten's got